Hello, I thought I'd do a very quick video. We seem to be having technical difficulties at the moment with our Wi-Fi and our broadband. It's not cooperating. It's taking forever to download videos to YouTube or to Facebook. So I thought I'll keep it short and sweet and just show you one of my recent projects that I started. This is one of the £3 8x8 scrapbooks from The Works. It's got a black cover, black ribbon, black spine, it's spiral bound, and then it has black pages in it. So it's quite a nice dramatic backdrop to anything. This is what I've been doing, and it's called a scrap diary. For the last couple of years I've been collecting little scraps and putting them aside, things that have got really nice interesting bits on them, but aren't really big enough to do anything with. Sort of part of papers that I've created, little bits of offcuts of stenciling or jelly printing. This is some mop-up papers from jelly printing, just a bit of distress ink on watercolour card, but they're all nice little bits and look very pretty when they're grouped together in colours. I collect them together and tend to put them into colour groups. This is what I've got left at the moment. You can see they're all nice little bits and pieces. They are 3 centimetres by 3 centimetres. You could do whatever size you wanted. If you wanted to use bigger scraps, you could do. I tend to put them into these little envelopes with the colours written on the front, just because it keeps the colours together, saves me having to sort them over and over again. Now, it's fairly easy to do this, so you could do it by eye, just by gluing them on and sort of not measuring, but I decided I wanted most of the pages to look sort of fairly even and neat. So if I get a piece of paper so I can show you, I created this grid out of one of the pages. I took one of the pages out of the scrapbook, sacrificed that, and then measured so I had a grid that I was happy with. I've got slightly bigger border at the bottom than at the top, and then the 2 side borders are the same as the measurements in between, going horizontally and vertically. I marked it all out with pencil, and then I just cut the squares out so that I could see where my little tiles were going to go. So I'll show you what I do. I found it, here we are. So that when I want to do my page, I get my template, line it up with the edges, top and bottom and side, so it sits on top of the page, and then I just get it's still lined up correctly, a pencil, and just draw inside the cutout area. I do that all the way around. This little bit of white pen round here was when I was trialling to see if I was going to put a white line around the outside of the tiles, which I decided to do. But I did that so that I could see what it looked like without actually doing it. But it does actually make your little windows stand out better for when you put your pencil marks in. So it might be a good idea to outline them all in white. When I'm doing the opposite page, I just transfer it across. I don't flip it that way, so that both pages look very similar. I put it so that this spine area is at the left hand side, the same as it is on this page, so that I've got my pages have got, now I don't know if you can see, maybe if I tilt it you might be able to see that there's all the little squares. So once I've got all my squares marked, I can get my little tiles and I can lay them out. I tend to sort of lay them out first roughly to see what I think. And then I can adjust them if I want. I try not to get too many tiles that are the same in a grid, but it is quite nice to have a little bit of repetition. So if I move that out of the way, move that fairly central, you can see this is all greys and purples and lilacs. It's got sort of an overall theme. Now, as I look at that, I actually think I want this one, which has got sort of blues and pinks and purples, down here. And I want, let's see, I'll pop that one up there and this one down here. I think I maybe want a stronger one at that side. I like the corners to be fairly strong looking. So maybe turn that one round, and I could move that one up, that's a bit stronger. Although they're pale, they may be a little bit stronger looking. That's better, I'm happy with that now. So then I will stick those down. I just use PVA, and I just go around the edges and across in the middle and then stick them onto my little squares, because I know where I'm supposed to be putting them because of the pencil lines. And then once they're stuck on, I just use my Signo Uniball white gel pen and I just roughly go round the outside. So I'll pause the video, do that, and then show you the result. Right, so I've got all my purple ones stuck on, and I've completed the other page, which is the sort of blacks, whites, greys, and a little bit of metallic, and it's got a little bit of colour on them occasionally. I've got my Uniball pen, and very, very randomly, and I'm not being neat at all, I just go around the edges of the squares. Because my pen won't go right up to the edge of the page, the little panels, I get a little bit of a black border, which looks rather nice, but it also breaks up the starkness of just the tiles on the panels on the page. It gives them a bit more of an arty look. As you can see, I'm being very random, and sometimes I will sort of go completely away from the edge. It doesn't matter. You'll see on some of the others there's somewhere I've mistakenly gone way across from the edge. It doesn't matter. It's not a scientific experiment. It doesn't matter if I go a little bit off, and it just, I think it makes these look a little bit more artistic, if you know what I mean. So I'll go round all of these. You see that one is way off with that one, but it doesn't matter because some of the other pages are like that. If you want to be more precise and just go round, you can. I actually prefer a bit more randomness, because when I stuck the little tiles on, I could be a millimetre out with the measurements. I would aim to put them on my pencil lines, but as I stuck them down they could have moved a little bit. And if you go around with your pen and be a bit more random, it just covers up any little mistakes in measurements. They're more or less straight, but just in case. So I'll do this page and then we'll do a flip through. So I will do exactly the same. There you can see the comparison between with or without. I like them with. Sometimes if I think a tile is just a little bit insignificant, lacking a little bit, I'll just maybe get a stamp and just put a bit of ink on, and I can just say stamp in a corner there. Just give it a little bit of something. Doesn't need to be perfect, it just gives it a little bit more interest. I could also, if I wanted, just say if there was this one needed a bit of something, I can just do some little circles in white or in black just to give it a little bit more interest. Let's get a black one. So I'll just go around. So I've got white circles with little black bits in the middle, and it just gives it a focus to that tile. I think the others are all interesting enough. So I'll close the book and I'll do a flip through. So we've got corals and reds to start with. And then we've got yellows, a little bit of green, but mostly yellows and sort of goldy colours on that page. This one was oranges, as you can see, but there's orange with turquoise. And as I look through this, sometimes it'll give me inspiration on what colours to put together. That's quite a nice, inspiring little tile, because you can see that turquoise and orange work really well together. This is a very, very blue double page spread. This page is more of a, I suppose, cobalt or indigo blue. This is more of not a greeny blue, but it's just a slightly different shade of blue. That's a bit warmer blue than this. But as you can see, there's bits with stamps on, some with a dendritic effect, just some distress. I think that was blueprint sketch that divided into colours. A little bit of stamping, I just drew through a stencil to add a bit more interest on there. These are just pages from a book which I'd used for jelly printing and then cut the edge off, and it left these, and I just thought I like the nice holes. There's a turquoisey green page, which is very nice. This one is just, it was a small square. It wasn't, I liked it and I liked the colour. It wasn't big enough to fill the entire square, so I backed it onto another one. Made use of that. Some mark making. The edge of a jelly print. There's roll-off prints, there's all sorts. That one's more of a traditional green. Yellowy green. That's grey but with a green accent. Again, that's a small one on top of a bigger one. A little bit of stamping and colouring. A roll-off bit. Then we go on to sort of the browns and vintagey colours. There's browns, greens, book pages, all sorts in these two pages. I think those are my favourite pages, but that's not one of my favourite sort of colour schemes, so those are my go-to colour schemes most of the time. So I think that's why I like those. Then we've got a very vibrant purpley pink, and then we've got more subdued pale pinks and greys on that one, but they do complement each other, they don't fight. And then we're on to our greys and purples and black, white, grey with a splash of metallic and yellow and orange. So I'll finish that one off and then I'll be ready to start collecting scraps. Just to give you an idea of where I get some of the scraps from, maybe just sort of one idea. This is a sheet of paper that I had, and I was doing some jelly printing, and it's a piece of paper that I would put my paint on the jelly plate, maybe put a stencil or something, lay a piece of paper on the top, and then this on the top, so that I didn't get my hands all covered in paint. So sometimes I get this effect because my paper's sometimes smaller than my jelly plate, so I got an edge to it like that, which doesn't look very inspiring at all. But if I get one of my little templates, I have a little this is 3x3, and think, right, what do I like? I think we'll have this bit here. So pop it on. Because this piece of paper, I kept it because it would be collage fodder. You can use it for, and you don't have to cut from big pieces like this. You can have little scraps like that might have some interesting bits on that you could cut from. That's not very inspiring, but so that when you put it on the black, that little scrap has got a nice lot of interest. It's got some crusty bits here, it's got a linear element going across there. That's a lot more inspiring than the whole bit. So that will go into the scrap collection. But as I say, you can use all sorts of. That's a little bit that's been cut off the end of a tag because it was too big. But in there's a face, because this was a patterned paper, and then it's got a napkin decoupage over the top, and then it's got some stamping on it. So I really like that. So I will cut that area out. And there we are. That's another little tile to go in the collection. That isn't quite big enough, but those scraps could go onto something else. So you see, once you start digging amongst your bits and pieces of scraps, you can find all sorts. And sometimes if you've got, say, tissue that's been jelly printed, you can put that onto, glue that onto your square and then cut round it, and you get another nice interesting bit. So there's all sorts of different sources for your little tiles to make up your scraps diary. There is a whole group of posts to follow on Instagram, and it's it's just Scraps Diary, and it's not Scrap Diary, it's Scraps, and it's got an S on the end, Diary. So if you have a look on Instagram, there's a whole host of posts all about this type of thing, and people have done circular tiles, diamond shaped tiles, random sizes all mixed together. Some people have covered the entire page with quite large scraps. It's entirely up to you. You can make it your own sort of personal project by choosing what shape and size you want to do. So I hope you like that. I hope you give it a go, and I'd love to see your results if you do any.